it's super applicable, a drive, but it is in a sense, because I think when you introduce transparency, you have to introduce accountability. So by having a veterinarian profile pairing with a hospital profile, that veterinarian needs to have the ability to, rate their experience, and having that third party involvement with Roo, we can help mitigate that, obviously. But having those conversations with the hospitals on areas for improvement, and then, like you said, vice versa. Introducing the rating system on the veterinarian side, I think, really helps also introduce dynamic pricing. So if you're a veterinarian and you're a superstar and you're highly requested, I mean, you bring so much added value to shifts, to hospitals, not just production. Production's great. The business side of me says, yes, that's awesome. Production's great. The human side of me says, you're great at production because you're able to bond clients. You're able to have that interaction, right? That leads to sort of building that value, that leads to creating that bond. And for a veterinarian who's doing, part-time work or relief work, I think that that's a really unique quality. So with that rating system, we're also introducing, dynamic pricing for those superstars. Because if you want a Dr. McFadden on your team, the Dr. McFaddens of the world can command a bit more, to be quite honest, because they bring more value. So I think for everyone, it's just going to hold a bit more accountability and really striving to leave things in a better place. I always use the rugby team, the All Blacks, as the example, right? So just like universally well-known, super big sports team from a tiny little country, and they're able to have this stakehold in this major, sport. The players are told when they come to the team, their goal is to leave that jersey they wear, the All Blacks jersey, in a better place. And for us, the relief veterinarians we would like to work with, the goal is to leave the hospital in a better place. So your presence, your interactions with those clients, those pets, leave that pet's health in a better place, leave that client's education in a better place, leaves the hospital's bonding of that client in a better place. You have a positive impact, because that's just something very moving, right? And so I want our veterinarians to feel empowered to do that. So the rating system helps create that accountability, and then of course leads to that dynamic pricing we'll be introducing, again, once we reach critical mass.
Sure. So are we going to have like a relief vet haka that we do before we enter the clinic? Like the All Blacks?
Yeah, so you just literally just lit a giant fire. I'm totally down. Yeah, absolutely.
So I have an idea, kind of random, but when you do the rating system for the veterinarians, instead of doing stars, you should do caduceus. Like the veterinary caduceus. So It'd be like, are they a 1 caduceus or a 5 caduceus? I think the plural is caduceus. I don't actually, I'll have to look that up. But, so it's like pertains, so it's not just stars. I guess you could do paws, but I feel like if you want to be like paw prints, but if you want to be like really nerdy, you could do caduceus.
Okay, so you're talking to a super nerd, and I'm totally bought in.
Nice.
Yeah, 1,000% bought in. I love that. I will be sure that we are looking to incorporate that.
I will take 10%.
I will absolutely bring that up to David.
Cool. So I think that, and I'm sure you guys have thought about this, but once you really get going, for me as a relief veterinarian, one of the hardest things, there were two. One was taking the time out of my day to, for free, go to a clinic and tour it, right? And meet the people. And so it basically, however far away you are, it takes anywhere between an hour to 3 hours to drive there, meet the veterinarian in charge, and then get a tour of the hospital. And then sometimes they would give you information about their protocols, sometimes they wouldn't. And then they would just tell you what computer system you have. And I feel like if you had virtual tours of the hospitals and, like, this is our computer system, this is the, doctor to support staff ratio, and even had like because the second thing was the protocols, right? Is you go to a hospital and they may do vaccines totally different than your gut instinct would be, but you want to represent the medicine that hospital practices, because that's, you're hired as a relief veterinarian almost to be an actor, right? You're hired to fill a role and to represent that clinic the best you can when the full-time associates are not present. So knowing that ahead of time, I think would really help just get people in the mindset and ease that confusion and eliminate that like required meeting, because you could even do it online through the app.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so what we created thus far, and I just made a note, thank you, on sort of, protocols and prepping hospitals for this. So part of the platform we've introduced is hospitals create a full profile, including that profile, whether they're AHA accredited, location, a map ping, number of veterinarians, number of support staff, expected flow like wellness or non-wellness. Is there surgical expectations during that shift? All of this is really readily available for the veterinarians on their dashboard, in sort of like an icon form with a photograph of the hospital. And typically, like you said, it's the front photo, front door, really pretty. But we took it a step further. We recommend to the hospitals to go ahead and obtain something similar to a Google 360 tour. Where the veterinarians then, if you click on the icon of the hospital, the photograph on your dashboard, it could bring you to that tour. You could essentially tour the hospital without having to leave the comfort of your home or car or routine clinic. And also have access to all of that information. And I like that you brought up number of veterinarians, because again, as we're onboarding sort of a variety of skill sets, a variety of availability, I'm thinking for those new graduates, it's really important to know if you have another veterinarian there during your shift versus if you're going to be flying solo. So I really think having that available. So once the hospitals create the profile and post shifts, doctors create their profile as well, and then they browse available shifts online, super transparent, readily available, hours, pay, location, AHA accreditation, number of vets, number of support staff, the flow, wellness, non-surgical expectations. And then again, you can dive in deeper by clicking on that photo. Uploading the tours, I think, will take probably a few months to catch on. It's highly recommended. But what we've really focused on is whether you're a veterinarian registering or a hospital, we actually have an onboarding slide stack that you have to complete before you either take a shift as a veterinarian or post a shift as a hospital. And I'd love to add your protocol statement there. Where can protocols be posted, and have that prepped? Because again, going back to accountability, we don't want our relief veterinarian showing up and the CSR, who's this at the front door? Hi, who are you? Oh, I didn't know we had a relief vet today. I mean, we're really looking to just improve here, guys. And I think holding each other accountable is the way to go. And so part of that would be, where are the protocols located? And I love the software system. We could certainly add that in the dashboard. So if you're walking in and working with Avamark or Cornerstone or Easy Vet, just getting a heads up on that. But yes, the transparency aspect, I think, is meant to be a time saver. And the other cool thing is on our early adopters, love the feedback. And Dr. McFadden, just in the conversation we're having today, I'm taking notes, make sure we add this, we do that, because really, again, the goal is to build this and build community. So I want the feedback. We want our users to be happy. I want you to look at this as a veterinarian and say, this is the easiest thing I have ever done. Mm-hmm. And I left feeling rewarded. And I want the same on the hospital side. This is the easiest way I've ever obtained high quality veterinarians. And we've enjoyed the experience. And we are willing to build in what we need to make that happen.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool. And right now it's only in Texas, correct?
Yeah, so really, our first market launch is here in Houston, Texas. We're trying to beat the heat. It's April, so, before we're at the doorstep here of, 100 degrees and 90% humidity, we kicked it off in Houston. We'll be branching to other Texas cities and of course, cities nationwide, but we'll be optimizing Houston first. And our team is kind of dispersed as far as location. We have a team in San Francisco and we have a team in Houston. And so we've got some reach, out towards Silicon Valley, which of course is the genesis of our tech portion.
Oh, neat. Because you said it's an app as well as a website.
Currently, it's a website, and we'll
Okay.
be looking to optimize it into an app. It is mobile friendly, so
Okay.
you can access it certainly from your cell phone with no problems, but would love to develop that into an app in the coming. And we kicked it off here in Houston January 1st of this year. Yay. And when we celebrate, we always say Roo-hoo, so Roo-hoo to that. And we're growing steadily. We're really focused on hospitals and doctors, and then we're going to be moving into techs actually, because that's another area of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Having that tech
Huge.
support staff.
Yeah.
So really looking to engage professional techs on the platform. So far in Houston, since January, we've captured about 5 to 10% of the market within the first few months. So I would say there's definitely a need. And Houston being the fourth largest city, it was a great, test market for us to kind of dip our toe into and see what we're going to be able to build.
No, that's awesome. I'm super excited. Like I said, I think it's going to be really popular once it catches on, and especially because, as much as veterinarians have to interact with people on a daily basis, when we don't have to, we're really excited about it. So if we can just, look online and not talk to anybody until we show up to the clinic, like that's pretty perfect. And I think, I think the way you guys are developing it is smart, because it's, you're still kind of beta testing, but also getting feedback, while they're doing it. And I think the only other thing that I found when I was a relief veterinarian, and this kind of goes back to knowing their protocols, is, and I don't even know how you would really do this, but having some sort of way that the veterinarian and the relief veterinarian and the owner or the medical director can openly, because you were talking about transparency, discuss whether or not a protocol at the hospital that's normally followed, if that's what they want followed, but the veterinarian doesn't necessarily agree with that medically, will they do it? And
yeah, great point.
And an example I have is, like, when I was a relief veterinarian, I would relieve for a lot of these older clinics, and they would just hand Depo Medrol injections out like candy, and especially to cats. And to me, that made me very uncomfortable, just because a very small percentage can develop heart failure. And it's like, the veterinarian that's owned the practice for 50 years is, of course, never going to have a problem, right? But the younger vet that comes in and gives the shot, that's going to be what does it.
That's the cat. Yeah.
Right. And then the flip of that is being a medical director and having to hire relief veterinarians. We have a very specific AHA vaccine protocol that we follow, and we split our vaccines because we're an integrative practice, and we don't give leptospirosis until after they've finished their rabies. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's better than anybody else's. That's just our protocol. And when we had a relief vet come in, and I was working that day, and I told her, this is a 13-week-old puppy. We do not give leptospirosis vaccines to them when they're this young. And her response was, this is my license. I don't care if that's your protocol. I'm going to do it. And then she did it. And of course, guess what happened? It had a reaction. So then the puppy had to come back, right? And so then I got to see the pet. They said, we went home, we read all of the literature, because we give them, like, I have this brochure that we give that's by life stage, and I have a puppy packet that typed about the vaccines and the timing and the rationale. And she said, I read, and I don't understand why we got it. So not only was this an episode where, the animal had an issue, which it could have happened if the puppy was 19 weeks old, right? But the client then lost faith in us, because we're saying one thing, but then we're having something else done. So as you can imagine, I do not work with that relief veterinarian anymore, because I need my relief veterinarians to follow the protocols that are established for continuity of care. That was kind of a tangent and a soapbox, and I didn't mean it to be.
No, I liked it.
But it really ticked me off.
I think it's a fair box. It's fair game for sure. I think so. So my vision for Roo is that veterinarians who are not able to sort of, again, leave the jersey in a better place will not be a fit, right, for the platform long term. And I think that's just having respect for the establishment, that you're continuing that sort of client hospital bond at. And I think that is definitely a fair game discussion point. I think the platform, again, with the